The horn blared first, sharp and sudden, before the black limousine screeched to a stop. Tessa jumped back just in time, but it was too late. A tidal splash of dirty rainwater drenched her uniform and the brown paper bag she held close to her chest. The bag tore open. The bread she was delivering, the only thing she'd been paid to protect, fell into the mud. She froze, heart pounding. The street went silent except for the rumble of the car's engine. The tinted window rolled down slowly, revealing a man in a crisp navy suit and cold, calculating eyes. "Do you just walk into the road without looking?" His voice was sharp, smooth, and arrogant, the kind that didn't ask, it commanded. Tessa blinked through the rain, her trembling fingers gripping what was left of the soggy bag. I wasn't on the road, sir. You splashed me," she managed, her voice breaking. He scoffed. "Then next time, stay farther from the road. It's not my fault you can't afford an umbrella." The words sliced deeper than the cold rain. Before she could speak, the car sped off, splashing her once more on purpose. She stood still, soaked and humiliated, watching the red taillights fade into the fog. Speech balloon, if you were Tessa, what would you have done? Comment your thoughts below the story, just getting started. That man's name was Adrian Cole, a self-made billionaire, CEO of Coal Dynamics, and the city's most feared negotiator. They called him the man with the frozen heart. To him, people were numbers. Emotions, distractions. Love, a liability. He was the kind of man who smiled only when others lost. 2 days later, Tessa stood outside the towering Coal Dynamics building, her clothes patched, her heart steady but hopeful. She needed a job, any job. Inside, she was met with glossy floors, polished smiles, and a receptionist who looked at her like she didn't belong. "You're here for the assistant opening?" the woman asked, eyeing her worn shoes. "Yes, ma'am." "Good luck," she muttered under her breath. "Mr. Cole doesn't keep assistants for long." Tessa swallowed hard and stepped into the elevator. Her reflection in the mirrored wall looked tired but determined. She didn't know the man she was about to meet was the same one who'd humiliated her in the rain. When the elevator doors opened, she froze. Behind the massive glass desk sat Adrian Cole. The same cold eyes, the same indifference. He glanced up, his brows narrowing. "You're late." Tessa's voice trembled. My train was delayed, sir." He flipped through her resume carelessly. "No degree, no experience, no references, why are you here?" She inhaled deeply. "Because I'm willing to learn, and I don't quit easily." For the first time, his eyes lifted, intrigued by the defiance in her tone. Still, his lips curved into a cold smirk. "We'll see. Start tomorrow, 7 a.m. sharp. If you're late, don't bother showing up again." "Yes, sir." She turned to leave, but before she reached the door, he spoke again. "And miss, Tessa, next time you come for an interview, wear something that looks like you actually want the job." The words burned, but she bit her tongue. She needed this. The next morning, she arrived 15 minutes early. Adrian didn't even glance at her. He barked orders like gunfire, cold, quick, precise. "Coffee, no sugar. Cancel the 3 p.m. meeting. Fix the presentation, it's pathetic." He treated everyone like tools, but for some reason, he was harsher with her. When she handed him his coffee, he barely looked up. "Is it that hard to pour it without spilling?" She blinked. "I didn't spill any, sir." He looked at her, unimpressed. "Then why does it still taste weak?" Tessa clenched her fists. "Because bitterness doesn't come from coffee, Mr. Cole." Silence. For a brief moment, something flickered in his expression, shock, maybe even admiration. Then he leaned back and smirked. "Careful, people who talk back to me don't last here." "Then maybe you've been hearing the wrong kind of people." He didn't reply, but that night, when everyone else had gone home, she was still there, fixing the presentation he'd called pathetic. By morning, he saw her desk lamp still on. She stayed all night. The next day, he walked into his office, and found the presentation slides polished to perfection. No one had ever gone the extra mile for him, not without asking for something in return. When she entered the room, he didn't insult her this time. He just said, "You can sit." For the next few hours, they worked side by side, silence between them, but a quiet storm building. One evening, as rain poured again, Tessa prepared to leave when she heard him on the phone shouting, "Don't you dare threaten me, Ethan. If the deal falls apart, you'll regret it." He slammed the phone, eyes dark with rage. Tessa paused at the door. "Rough day." He looked up, startled. "You think I need your sympathy?" "No," she said softly. "Just thought even ruthless billionaires deserve a good evening." He frowned. "You're brave for someone in your position." "Maybe that's because I've got nothing to lose." Her voice lingered in the air, calm, genuine, disarming. For the first time in years, Adrian had no comeback. That night, he couldn't sleep. Her words echoed in his mind. Nothing to lose. He thought of his empire, the empty penthouse, the silent dinners, the endless deals. And for the first time, he wondered if maybe he was the one with nothing at all. The next morning, he arrived early and found her already there, wiping the office glass walls. "Why are you here so early?" he asked. "Because you said early is on time," she smiled faintly. "And I can't afford to lose this job." He studied her no makeup, tired eyes, hands rough from work. But there was something he hadn't noticed before: strength. "Do you ever rest?" he asked. "Rest is for people who can afford it," she replied. That line hit him harder than he expected. He didn't reply, but from that day, something changed in how he looked at her, not with disdain, but with curiosity. And that curiosity would soon turn into the one thing Adrian Cole swore he'd never feel again: emotion. The tension in Cole dynamics grew thicker by the week. Rumors spread, whispers of an internal leak, a missing deal, a possible betrayal. Adrian's temper worsened. He shouted more, trusted less, and everyone feared his presence, everyone except Tessa. She remained calm, steady, focused, even when he hurled accusations at everyone in the boardroom. One evening, after a long meeting, he turned to her. "You think I'm paranoid, don't you?" She looked at him carefully. "I think you're scared." He stiffened. "I'm not scared of anything." "Yes, you are," she said softly. "You're scared of losing control, scared of trusting the wrong person again." For a moment, his mask cracked. "You don't know anything about me." "Then tell me," she whispered. But he didn't. He couldn't. He simply turned away and muttered, "Get some rest, Miss Tessa. Tomorrow will be war." By morning, the storm hit. The company lost $1 million contract overnight, leaked documents, stolen strategies, chaos. Adrian stormed into his office, fury in his eyes. "Find the leak, now." Hours later, the security chief walked in with a grim face. "Sir, we found something. The files were accessed under your assistant's login." "Tessa." The name echoed in his head like a gunshot. He froze, jaw tightening. "You're sure?" "Yes, sir. The evidence is clear." Adrian didn't wait. He barged into her small workspace, slamming his palm against her desk. She jumped, startled. "Where is it?" he demanded. "Where is what?" "The drive. Don't play innocent, you leaked my files." Her face went pale. "What? No, I'd never." "Save it," he snapped. "I should have known better than to trust a desperate girl who'd sell her soul for money." Tears filled her eyes. "You think I'd do that to you?" He stepped closer, his tone venomous. "You'd do anything for survival. That's who you are." Her voice broke. "I thought you knew me better than that." "I don't want to know you," he barked. "You're fired. Get out before I have you arrested." The room went silent. She stood still, trembling, fighting back tears. Then, with a shaking voice, she said, "I may be poor, Mr. Cole, but I'm not dirty. You can take away my job, but not my truth." And with that, she left, leaving him standing in the ruins of his own mistrust. Days passed. Adrian buried himself in work, convincing himself he was right. But something felt wrong, too easy, too clean. Then, one night, his phone buzzed. A new report, a confession. The real traitor had been his business partner, Ethan, the man he trusted most. Tessa had been framed. The blood drained from his face. He dropped his glass, shattering it on the floor. For the first time in years, Adrian Cole felt something real, guilt. By morning, he was in his car, searching for her. He found her at a small cafe on the edge of town, working behind the counter, apron stained, eyes tired. When she saw him, she froze. He stepped closer, quieter now, almost human. "Tessa." She turned away. "I'm working." He swallowed hard. "I made a mistake." She didn't look at him. "You didn't make a mistake, you made a choice." Her words cut sharper than any insult he'd ever heard. "I was wrong," he said, voice low. "Ethan set you up, you were innocent." Her hands trembled, but she didn't stop wiping the counter. "You think an apology can fix what you broke?" He lowered his head. "No, but I had to try." Silence filled the space between them. Then she whispered, "I believed in you, Adrian. Even when everyone said you were heartless, I defended you." "I don't deserve that," he murmured. "No," she said, finally meeting his eyes. "You don't." He stood there, defeated. The billionaire, once untouchable, now looked like a man stripped of everything that mattered. When he left, she didn't stop him. But something in her gaze lingered, not hate, not anger, something sadder. Forgiveness trying to breathe through pain. Weeks later, news broke. Adrian Cole resigned as CEO. He vanished from the business world. No statements, no farewell party. Then, one rainy morning, exactly 1 year later, a new cafe opened downtown. It was small but beautiful. And the name above the door read, Tessa's Corner. The first customer walked in wearing a plain shirt and jeans. He looked older, softer. "Tessa," he said quietly. She turned, heart skipping. "Adrian." He smiled, not the arrogant kind, but one that carried humility. "I thought I'd try your coffee. Heard it's better than mine." She hesitated, then chuckled softly. "That's because it's made with heart, not ego." He nodded, smiling. "I learned that the hard way." They sat across from each other. No boardrooms, no titles, just two people who had finally learned what truly mattered. As they talked, laughter replaced silence. The rain outside mirrored their first encounter, but this time it wasn't cruel. It was cleansing. Before leaving, Adrian placed a small envelope on the counter. "For you," he said. Inside was a document, a funding grant for her cafe, with one note written in his handwriting. For the girl who taught a billionaire how to feel again. Tears welled in her eyes. "Adrian." He smiled. "No need to thank me. You already gave me more than money ever could." And with that, he walked into the rain at peace for the first time in his life. Never look down on anyone. The same person you dismiss today might be the one who saves you tomorrow. What lesson did you take from this story? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your words might touch someone's heart. Subscribe for more stories that remind us, love doesn't need wealth, only courage. And don't forget to like this video if it moves you. Every like helps more people see this story. Tessa's cafe glowing warm against the rain. Adrian walked away, looking back once, a faint smile. The Poor Girl and the Ruthless Billionaire, a story about humanity, not wealth.